For today's watch review, we're taking a look at the G-Shock MTG B1000. This particular model is the 1ACR version, and there are several different colorations, but for today we're just looking at probably the most basic B1000, although basic really isn't a word that you would associate with an MTG. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with price, MSRP is $900. However, if you look online, you can find the price ranging from around $600 to $800. Going over the dimensions from bumper to bumper right there, we get about 52.5 millimeters, or just under 52.5. And then for case depth or thickness, just over 14 millimeters. And then lug to lug, let's see, right around 56.6 millimeters. For weight, it comes in at 122 grams or 4¼ ounces. So it's got some heft to it. It's not ridiculously heavy, but you can feel the denseness there, and it's actually very satisfying. Here is the wrist check. I've got about a 7.5 to an 8-inch wrist, depending on the time of day. So it is, quite a substantial watch. I like it. If you don't like big watches, then this might be a little bit out of your comfort zone, but man, it is a good looking watch. Now just going over some of the functions and features. I'm not going to go too in depth with it because this video would last forever. But the big ticket items are that this is a solar atomic watch with Bluetooth functionality. So they packed a whole heck of a lot of things in this, fairly small package, all things considered. Looking at the main dial, you see that there are 3 subdials. The one at 12 o'clock is your 24-hour subdial. At 9 o'clock, it is your day of the week, charge, and mode subdial. And then the one at 6 o'clock is your dual time subdial. You've also got this great, very visible date window right there. And that's pretty much it for the dial. You do have loomed or indices with applied lume all around the main dial, so that's also a very good thing. You'll see that there is a crown. This is a screw down crown with 2 positions, and it's very well made and very tight. So once you screw it out, and you can pull it out to the first or second position, and that's how you would manually adjust things for this watch. A lot of people prefer to use the Bluetooth system just because it's so convenient. You hook it up to your phone and then the watch just automatically changes everything. For me, I'm more old-fashioned. I will never connect any of my G-Shocks to my phone, and that's just a personal preference. I just don't like to do that. So it's nice that they allow people to have more manual input and manual control over their watches. I also almost forgot to mention that your dual time subdial has a little subdial of its own for 24-hour time. So you can't really see it right there, but it is right there. If it's pointing to the right side, that means it's AM, and on the left side, that means it is PM for whatever time zone your secondary subdial is showing. Just like a standard 24-hour subdial. Now let's cycle through the different modes. So we're going to hit this clearly labeled mode button right here, also with the red accent. So now we're in stopwatch mode. Your main second hand will show you how much time has elapsed, and then your 6 o'clock subdial, the hour hand will show you how many hours have elapsed, and the minute hand will show you how many minutes have elapsed. This is your start and stop button right there. And there you go. Pretty simple. Next mode is timer. Same thing with the subdial. This will show you how much time you want to measure. So the minute hand will tell you how many minutes you're measuring, and the hour hand will show you how many hours you're measuring. And again, the second hand Well, in this case, the second hand is going to go the other direction. So it truly is a countdown timer. And I think that's just a really cool feature. I've actually never seen that before in an analog watch. And then next mode is alarm. And then your second hand is going to show you, if I can get a good enough picture here. Sorry, my video recording equipment is not very good. Anyways, there's a little sign there that says on or off, basically telling you if your alarm is on or off. And then the next mode is going to be main time mode. The cool thing here is that this 9 o'clock subdial is going to point to the charge level to show you where, how your battery is doing before it points to the day of the week. So let's go ahead and see that. So I'm at about 50%. And then it should point to the day of the week. There we go. As far as the strap or band goes, this thing is fantastic. It's like a resin band, but man, it's on another level of quality here. Now, this is probably the nicest G-Shock resin band I've ever had. Buckle, it looks nice too. Very good quality steel overall. Nothing about this watch feels cheap. The only thing that I don't like is the band keeper right here. It looks nice and all, but it reminds me of my Golf Master keeper, and this thing is pretty much useless. So the workaround is to bend these tabs right here, or you could add some kind of friction tape underneath the belly here. But if you don't do that, basically as you're wearing this watch, the keeper is just going to fall off. Like a guaranteed 100% chance that this keeper is going to fall off. So I accept the fact that it is beautiful and it is very good looking and very well made, but it's just not very practical. Again, there's an easy workaround around it, but I just wish that they had made it practical out the factory. Like I said before, we had Lume applied to all of the indices along the chapter ring, but we also have a backlight via this button. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. The Lume is beautiful. It's not your typical green. It's almost like a turquoise blue, but I think they did a really good job with it. It's the Neo Bright, which I have had no issues with ever. And then the backlight, it works. I don't really like the single LED in the corner, but that's just my personal preference. It works just fine. And it is also very well done, how it kind of gradually, slowly fades in and out. It's just a very classy overall feeling. Some other things to mention are the 200 meters of water resistance, as well as the spherical sapphire crystal, which is just really good looking. I think they did a great job there. Now going over my personal thoughts, the MTG B1000 is by far the nicest and most beautiful G-Shock that I have in my collection. I think it's common knowledge that the MTG and MRG models in G-Shock are always going to be outstanding, and I am a believer now. From things like just the overall feel, and like I said, the band is fantastic, and the finishing, it's very, I don't want to say luxurious, but it's very elegant, but it still looks like a tool watch. Very tough. I know that there's a special name for the kind of polish that they did. I don't know off the top of my head what it is, but I mean, you can see, and maybe you can't tell through the camera, but in person, it is completely different. It is just fantastic. There's really not much more you can ask from this watch. It's got solar charging, atomic timekeeping, and Bluetooth functionality. So it's going to last, more than a decade, and timekeeping is covered on all aspects. You've got timekeeping from your phone, so it's always going to be accurate, or if you don't connect it to your phone, you've got the radio signals to provide accuracy. They really did cover all things that a watch could cover, and for that I'm very impressed. If I had to say something negative about the B1000, number one would obviously be price. For me personally, I think this is an expensive watch, and I'm cheap. I don't like expensive things, but That being said, I do think there is value. I do think you're getting your money's worth when it comes to overall quality and materials. Another bad thing that I don't like, and this is purely subjective, just my opinion, is the whole Bluetooth thing. You know, I'm old school, and I will say this over and over and over again. I will never connect a watch to Bluetooth, just because that is my philosophy for wearing a watch. But I do think that it's nice that it is an option for, you know, those of you who are into Bluetooth watches. So my final verdict is that I definitely recommend the B1000. This thing is phenomenal. If you like the way that it looks and you've got the money and you can afford it, I say go for it, because you will not be disappointed. My only hope is that in the future we can see some aftermarket bracelets for the B1000, because right now you've got this model and then you've got another model in red with an actual bracelet. But you know, I don't want to buy a whole other B1000 just to get the steel bracelet. So hopefully we can see some aftermarket bracelets coming out. But other than that, that's all I got to say for now. I hope that you enjoyed this watch review, and thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, bye.